Welcome back to another episode of the Nerf Report. We got a great show lined up for you this week. 6 brand new video games to talk about. Pokemon and PALWORLD are fighting it out in the legal system, and I genuinely cannot believe the pettiness of Nintendo when it comes to this lawsuit. PlayStation has officially released the PS5 Pro, and we're going to talk all about that. Hogwarts Legacy 2 has officially been greenlit by Warner Brothers. YouTuber Hacksmith is building a power suit from Fallout, and we have to talk about GeForce Now and the lunacy of their brand new time limits. All of this and so much more on this week's episode of the Nerf Report.
Warning, what you are about to watch was made for fans of video games. We do not pretend to be experts, nor do we want to be. Our opinions do not reflect the beliefs of the brands or companies that may appear in this show. If you are a fanboy, toxic piece of sludge, or a grade A asshat, this show may not be for you.
Can you see me? Let's just film the video.
Zip it! The ghost of Macho Man Randy Savage is here!
Oh my god! Yes, negativity sells, and it sure as hell makes clicking your thumbnails a lot easier. But I, as a gamer, as a nerd, as a creator, I am so tired of being upset for clicks.
Are you listening?
Welcome, strangers from distant land and friends of old. We got a brand new episode of the Nerf Report, and I am so excited for you to be here. Last week's episode felt like a little bit of a dream, but we're back, and we had a solid week of content. Like, we posted these videos for this, obviously, the weekly show. We have a brand new Let's Play video where we dived into Don't Scream. Fantastic horror game. If you haven't played that yet, definitely check it out. It's available on Steam right now. It's also not really that expensive. It's like a fairly decently priced game. But what I found fascinating about this game is as we're playing it for the Let's Play, each time we would go in for like a new run, we would get a completely different story. So we played it like 5 or 6 times, and there's like 3 videos that are going to be coming out here pretty shortly. Each one of those runs, completely different. One of them, we ran into Krampus. The other one, we ran into like some ancient ruins. And then like we have a ghost ship, and then UFOs and ghosts scaring you in the field, and then like creepy hillbillies. There's so much depth to this game. And you would think like, the object is you don't scream. How deep could it get? I have beaten the game, but I'm still thinking about going back and playing it just to see everything else that's in this title. But yeah, if you're interested in seeing Don't Scream, definitely check out our video where we dive into the gameplay. We've got a little bit of a series going on, so for like the next 2 or 3 weeks, I think we have like Don't Scream videos coming out, so you'll be able to see that and kind of some first hands. And as I was kind of alluding to, like it feels weird because last week's episode we're like, we're back, but like we're back in a big way. Where we're doing Let's Play videos, we're doing this weekly show, but also for channel members, they're getting exclusive content. Every single weekday, we are uploading a new show called The Daily that takes all the day's gaming news, puts it in one show, and we kind of have a little more relaxed conversation. It's not as like presented as this one is. So if you haven't done so already and you haven't considered becoming a best friend or a casual friend, please do, because that content, I'm really enjoying making it. I know the people who are watching it are enjoying it as well. And it's only $1.99. Memberships start at $1.99 to be a Nerf Gaming News best friend, $4.99, but that's not necessary. $1.99, all it takes to get access to more Nerf Gaming News content. But obviously, we've got a lot to break into for this week's episode, and I want to dive straight into it with what I think is a very exciting game that's coming out. For the world of football, we've always had 2K, we've always had Madden. It's exciting to see a brand new football game come out that has nothing to do with 2K, has nothing to do with Madden. So without further ado, let's show off the trailer for Maximum Football.
There's the home squad, greeted by the roaring crowd. Go, go, go!
I think the best story to kind of dive into first is definitely going to be like this Pokemon PALWORLD lawsuit, because I think it's extremely fascinating. So kind of a little backstory here. PALWORLD came out with their video game, I want to say it was like a year and a half ago. And realistically, it's everything that a Pokemon fan wanted, right? Like I've been playing Pokemon since I was probably like 5 years old. And I've always wanted to see like an open world exploration Pokemon game. And yeah, we kind of got that with Arceus, and it was cool, but you could still tell that it was hindered by Nintendo's hardware. Like, it wasn't truly capable of what we're seeing with games like Ark Survival Evolved and, other massively open world games that we're getting. And it's like, for years, I know I've been vocal, I know the online Pokemon community has been vocal that, like, this is what we want. And then when PALWORLD came out with it, with, like, some weird caveats, but, like, when PALWORLD came out and they're like, hey, this is what we're trying to accomplish, I think there was a big subsect of gamers, including myself, that were like, thank you. This is the Pokemon game we've been waiting for. Yes, it's not Charmander, it's not Bulbasaur, it's not Pikachu. We can look past that. These are different characters that we can come to love, but it's still a fun game. And the basics of the game are you wake up on an island, you can catch your pals with PAL spheres that you can craft and create. But there's also things that it does in the game that aren't very Pokemon-y, where like you can build a base, you can equip yourself with guns and go hunting for pals. You can even give your pal a gun, which is something that's very anti-Nintendo. They don't want to glorify that type of violence. So it's interesting to see, like, yes, they're very similar on like this core principle, but then like when you begin to expand, there's major differences between the two games. So initially this lawsuit came out and they were like, okay, hey, why is Nintendo suing them? And a lot of the online community was like, well, it's probably because PALWORLD is like an AI-generated video game. And the concept here is that the PALs, the majority of them were like AI artwork. At least that's what the theory is. I don't know if Pocket Pair, the developer, has like debunked that. But the way these AI engines work is you give them a lot of like examples. You're saying, this is what I want, this is what I want, this is what I want. And so you're feeding them with like cartoon characters and other Pokemon and monsters. And you say, create me 50 original pals. And so like the AI engine is going to spit them out. But because AI is learning off of like images of Pokemon, they're going to be spitting out images that kind of look similar to Pokemon. And you can go through the PAL decks and like see 100%. You're like, oh, that looks like this one. That one looks similar. And there's been countless articles written about this. And from my perspective, I was like, that's where Pokemon has their best case. Is Pokemon could say like, hey, you used copyrighted imagery. You used our trademarks, our IP to do this. And I think that there was a really valid argument out there. Turns out, this week it comes out, that's not what this lawsuit is about. Because the PALWORLD developer Pocket Pair revealed that Nintendo and the Pokemon Company are suing Pocket Pair for 10 million yen. And what this comes down to is patent infringement. And they list the patents in this article, and I looked them up, and one of them just seems very vague, like just talking about video games. But the other two leave me like wondering, what the hell is Nintendo smoking? The first one is like, hey, we've patented the video game concept of throwing a ball at a creature and capturing it. And I'm like, how the hell do you capture? Like there's so many other games that you throw things at them and you catch them. I think even Ark did it with like their Ark spheres. Like you can throw an Ark thing and capture your Ark character. I just genuinely don't understand how that could be a patented video game concept. But then the second one that is ridiculous is that Nintendo said that they patented the way of riding creatures that you've captured. So in PALWORLD and in Pokemon, you can like ride your characters, whether it's like flying or running across fields or swimming across oceans. You can use your creatures or your monsters as like a form of transportation. Which again, I don't understand how Nintendo can sit here and be like, "Hey, we've patented the idea of riding a mount." Like, what are you going to say to Assassin's Creed, who has people riding horses, or any game that you can ride a dragon, or something that you can ride like there are so many games in the history of video games that have mounts that I don't think Nintendo gets to stand on this precipice and say, we've invented the idea of mounts. It's just ridiculous. There's no common sense here, and I understand 10 million yen equates to like 60,000 US dollars, which isn't a lot. It's really not a lot of money in like the grand scheme of things when it comes to these video game companies. And I genuinely hope Pocket Pair just sticks it to Nintendo in here and say, absolutely not. Because it's not just a fine that they're looking for. Inside of this argument, Nintendo also wants Pocket Pair to shut down PALWORLD, which I think would be the biggest tragedy because, number one, Nintendo, like, you're pissing off your fan base, like fans like myself who've played Pokemon their entire life and have wanted a game like this, and now we've got it. But also, it's like Pokemon's taking the stance in a way where they're saying, like, hey, we understand you want this game. We understand that this is what you would like, but at the end of the day, we're not going to give it to you anytime soon. And we don't want you playing it anywhere else. So we're going to shut down any company that tries to attempt to do that. I just don't understand how these patents hold up. And that's what I'm really interested to see, like, in this legal case, is like how these patents even begin to stand. Because, like, saying that you've invented the idea of a mount in a video game is just ridiculous. Now, obviously, you could go granular here and say, like, hey, they specifically used our coding for mounting. There's an issue. Like, if there's Pokemon coding in the game, 100% understand that would be a massive issue. But to say, like, you've patented the idea, I don't see this one standing up. So, again, I'm so dumbfounded by this. Like, Nintendo is always one of those companies that they do stuff that I'm like, cool, man. Like, good on Nintendo. Like, absolutely killing it. Like, you guys are doing a great job. But then they do stupid stuff like this that is just so anti-consumer and anti-video game community, like online video game community, or anti-fan of video games. And I'm just like, you guys are literally the villain and the heroes of this story. And it just frustrates me so much when it comes to Nintendo. But anyway, sound off in the comment section. I'm genuinely would love to hear where you guys fall on this one. Like, are you Team PAL? Are you Team Pokemon? Do you think Pokemon has a valid case here? Or did I completely miss something in this story? Let me know in the comment section down below. And before we jump into our next story, we've got a brand new game to introduce you to. This one looks super cool. Very unique looking graphics. Hashtag blood claws for alarm. Big week for PlayStation, and I honestly don't think enough people are talking about this because Sony, if you're not aware, has released the PlayStation 5 Pro. It is officially available now, and as far as consoles go, the PlayStation 5 Pro might be the most powerful consumer console ever created. The console itself has an AMD Zen 2 8-core 16-thread processor with RDNA-based graphics engine, 16.7 teraflops, 16 gigabytes of GDDR6 RAM for gaming, with an additional 2 gigabytes of DDR5 RAM, of course, for console tools, and the console itself comes with a 2 terabyte solid-state drive. Now, all of that can be yours for the low cost of $700 US, and there is the story in all of this. $700 US, because I thought the PlayStation 3 was ridiculously expensive when I purchased it, and I remember there being such an uproar and such a cause for concern when it came to this. But, like, realistically, $700 for a console, I'm not arguing that the tech isn't good and the tech's not worth it. It's just in this generation, I feel like Sony has struggled to make a case as to, like, why I should be spending $700. And I always go back to the PlayStation 4. And I understand we're talking about different things here, but, like, the original PlayStation 4 was cool. It was great. I still own my original PlayStation 4. But the time that the PlayStation 4 Pro came out, the argument to upgrade made 100% sense. Like, I was playing games like The Last of Us or Spider-Man or like other PlayStation 4 games, and my PlayStation 4 would sound like an F1, like an F engine. Like, just, it'd be roaring in my office, and it would be like, I've got to turn the TV up louder to ignore the fan. And, like, the entire time, it's just static fan noise. So when they were like, we're coming out with the PlayStation 4 Pro that doesn't do that, 100% makes sense. When it comes to the PlayStation 5, it's extremely interesting because it's like, I don't see a need to upgrade. And that's just me. Like, there's never been a game that is coming out for the PlayStation 5 cycle that I've played yet that I'm like, ooh, this looks rough. Or I wish I had more hardware to consume this. Now, to PlayStation's credit, they did give us a list of like 55 games that have been like modified or updated to perform better with the PlayStation 5 Pro. This list is massive, and of course I'll link to it in the description down below. But you got games like Apex Legends, Assassin's Creed Mirage, Baldur's Gate 3, Call of Duty Black Ops 6, EA College Football, God of War Ragnarok, Marvel Spider-Man 2, No Man's Sky, PALWORLD, Star Wars Jedi Survivor, and the Last of Us series. All games that with using the new PlayStation 5 Pro, it's estimated that like, hey, you will get a significantly better experience with using it, which look, I'm all for. But again, I don't understand the need to take this to like the next level. Like, none of those games sucked. None of those games performed so poorly on the PlayStation 5 that I'm like, man, wish I had it. Like, I struggled this week because like I was trying to come up with a joke of like what PlayStation could have done with the PlayStation 5 to make me want to like upgrade to the PlayStation 5 Pro. Like, what tools or what features? And I struggled because I feel like we're in a moment in gaming that like we're at such a good point when it comes to graphics and experiences and gameplay that anything that's going to be past this is just going to be so minuscule. Like, you're not going to be able to notice it. Like, if you were to take the N64 and then go to the GameCube, the differences are noticeable. If you go from the GameCube to the Switch, noticeable. If you go from PlayStation 2 to PlayStation 3, noticeable changes. PlayStation 3 to PlayStation 4, same thing. PlayStation 4 to PlayStation 5 was that first generational leap that I don't think we have seen a console truly show me like, oh shoot, we are in the next generation of gaming. Now that being said, the people who have spent $700 are totally in on this console. I've seen tons of videos of people online absolutely loving their consoles, and mazel tov to y'all. So happy that it was worth your experience. For me, I guess it's like I've got to see it firsthand. I'm sitting here and I'm not really seeing anything online that I'm like, ooh, I need to get this. But at the same time, it's like I can't really judge it till I have it. So it's like, do I go out and spend $700 and test it out firsthand, or like do I just beg Sony to send me one? Which at this point, Sony's not going to send us one. Like, Sony sends it to the kind of funnies and the IGNs and the GameSpots of the world, the Nerf Gaming Newses of the world, the independent gaming media. We get, what do we get? we don't get much. But yeah, anyway, I did want to at least shout out Sony here because the PlayStation 5 Pro is available. If you've been holding off on buying a PlayStation, definitely possibly consider getting the PlayStation 5 Pro instead of the standard, because it is kind of going to be the flag bearer of the platform. But to my understanding, the standard PlayStation 5 is still going to be available, so there shouldn't really be any issues there. Now, of course, from the world of PlayStation, we're going to jump into a new story. But before we do that, we got a brand new game for y'all for the world of virtual reality. MetaQuest players, I think you're going to enjoy this one. We got a brand new VR game called Game Night. Hogwarts Legacy has been greenlit by Warner Brothers. Yeah, this is a very exciting story because as a fan of the first Hogwarts Legacy, immediately I was like, man, this game is awesome. With a little tweaks, it definitely could have been Game of the Year, but fantastic game. But so this week it was announced that Hogwarts Legacy is going to be getting a sequel with Hogwarts Legacy 2, and I think a lot of people were like, wow, this is a great story, but there was also like a section of gaming media that I think myself was included that I'm like, this really shouldn't surprise us, because Hogwarts Legacy sold a crap ton of copies. Like 30 million copies is what the game sold. 30 million copies. If the game would have sold 10 million copies, we'd still be getting a sequel. The game sold 30 million copies. That's absolutely insane. In fact, there's a stat out there somewhere that I think it's like Hogwarts Legacy was the best-selling video game of 2023, breaking a 14-year streak where the number one video game has either been Call of Duty or a Rockstar video game. So, like, of course Warner Brothers is seeing all this success and they're like, yeah, let's do it again. Now, what I'm interested about here is, like, what do you do, right? So, like, one of the biggest gripes I had about Hogwarts Legacy 2 was there was no multiplayer, there was no, like, living world. While there were other students walking around campus, admittedly, what would have made Hogwarts Legacy 1,000 times cooler is having the ability to see, like, your friends on campus or just other players on campus getting into mischief or, like, playing games or, like, dueling. Like, if you added multiplayer, kind of like a GTA Online concept to Hogwarts Legacy, that game would be nuts. And then you talk about, like, okay, do you add a Quidditch suite? Like, do we do Quidditch? Do we put a sports mechanic in here where you could have, like, a multiplayer? And then, like, what do you grow that multiplayer into, right? Do you take, like, hey, we're going to have a Quidditch suite where you can play against other players playing Quidditch, but then also you can duel. Like, you can duel with other players and cast magic. That's where, like, you could evolve Hogwarts Legacy to kind of minimally and still keep, like, the core principles of the game, but make it better. And that's what I hope we see. Now, that being said, as excited as I am for that concept and for the potential of getting that, we are still 3 to 4 years until we see this game. It might be shorter just due to the fact that, like, the core basics of the game are built, right? Like, the worlds are designed, the mechanics and the coding and the what am I trying to say here? Like, the central pillars of the game have pretty much been established, right? So they're just kind of like retuning it, refining it, adding a couple things. So it might not be as long, but other than, like, it's getting made, we know very little about this game. In fact, Variety broke the news this week, and what they revealed is that it's going to be a follow-up to the second game, and Hogwarts Legacy 2 will have tie-ins to the brand new HBO Harry Potter TV show, which, my God, I'm officially old enough to be like, do we really need a new Harry Potter? But those movies are old, man. Like, Harry Potter has been around for my entire life. Like, my mom says all the time that Harry Potter is the reason I learned to kind of read. I hated reading as a kid, but then we started reading Harry Potter in school, and I was like, can you take me to the bookstore? Can you get me a copy of the book? And ever since then, it's been a massive part of my life. Like, I love the books, I love the stories, I love the movies. We went to Universal on Harry Potter weekend. I got the sorting hat on me, put me into Slytherin. Heck yeah. Shout out to my fellow Slytherins out there. But I got a wand. I did the whole experience. Like, I love the world of Harry Potter, and I want more. So, like, when you look at a game like Hogwarts Legacy and you think about, like, oh, we're getting a sequel, 100% I'm in. Like, I want more of this world. I want it to be expanded. I want to see more. And personal story, last week we went to go see, my wife and I, we went to go see Harry Potter and the Cursed Child. My cousin's high school was performing it, and didn't really know much about it because I was like, it's a play. I'm not going to read the script online. Like, I'll wait to having the opportunity to actually see it. And I was kind of moved by the story. I know that's weird to say, but it's like you have these childhood heroes that you grow up with, and you assume that when Harry defeats Voldemort that it's like happily ever after, right? But then you get this glimpse into Harry Potter as a dad, and you realize, oh man, he's kind of struggling being a father. So, like, that's tough, but great play. I mean, it was fantastically written, and it's like, the more we can get of this world, the more I'm all in. Like, I loved The Cursed Child. It was such a cool story seeing all of these guys as grown-ups and then seeing their kids kind of struggle with the same concepts of, like, you know, hey, how do we manage this school of wizardry? And knowing that they're going to be expanding it, and, like, does that mean if it's going to tie into the HBO series that we're going to get Harry in the game, we're going to get Hermione in the game, like, we might get, you know, Dumbledore? Is Dumbledore going to be one of the headmasters while we're in it? Like, that's the stuff that I'm like, okay, 100% in. Like, this is going to work flawlessly. And I think we've always been talking about, like, hybrid media and these companies trying to buy up properties just to do stuff like this. And this is what we're seeing, right? Like, you're going to watch the HBO series, and then it's going to be like, hey, you should go check out the video game. Super cool. Check it out. And then, like, you go experience it. And that's the future of gaming that excites me. And, yeah, I mean, again, I don't know if there's anyone out there that, I shouldn't say that. There's definitely a group of gamers who are upset by Hogwarts Legacy and Harry Potter being in the news right now, but like I think the majority of Harry Potter fans, the majority of Hogwarts Legacy players are excited at the prospect that we're going to be getting a sequel. So yeah, we'll definitely be keeping a close eye on this one, and I cannot wait. But before we move on, of course, we have more games to show you. This one, a tactical first-person shooter game called Delta Force.
Team, rally up. We've got a new mission. Operation Lightning Strike. The situation at Zero Dam is now very serious, with conflicts escalating between Havoc Corps and Alsara Guard. It's time to take action. Objective: collect and decode the Mandelbrick located at the tourist center at the southeast region. We need to utilize terrain for stealth insertion. Execute swiftly and silently.
We're in position.
Looks like someone beat us to it. We need to pick up the pace.
Luna, clean the balcony. On your mark. Balcony clear. Go, go, go! Clear the area. Shield down. I'm going in. Shit! They've got a flamethrower. Engaging. Second floor. Ah! I got shot! They're coming up! All clear. Prepare for decoding.
That's all for mission briefing. The drill is over. Operation commences. Good luck.
Why are they burning tires? RPG! Hold on!
All units prepared for landing. 2 feet, 1 foot. Clear. Secure and capture a team in your cabinet. Over.
Get down! Get down! Enemy attack! Air strike! Enemy vehicles coming! Vehicle under attack!
Popping out the Monster Energy drink for the show. We've officially reached the Monster Energy drink hour of the show. That's right. I was scrolling on YouTube this week, and I saw a video that I absolutely loved, and I wanted to share it with y'all here because super cool. So Hacksmith is a channel that has always done like super nerdy and super cool concepts. We're gonna make Captain America's shield. We're gonna make Iron Man's suit. We're gonna do like all these things that you see in nerd culture, but we're gonna like hack them and we're gonna create them here. But this time, they decided to make the power armor from Fallout. Yeah, and just a warning, I'm about to make us all feel really old here. The first Fallout game released 27 years ago. And I'm surprised it took us this long. But we got our first like actual functioning power armor, and it's so sick. The team at Hacksmith engineered a real-life power armor suit from the ground up, including pneumatic pistons. The back automatically opens when you climb in, and they 3D printed the armor around to enclose it. And like this is part 2 of 6, so it's not even finished yet. It's just kind of like the upper torso. But they were showing like the team being able to like lift heavy weights while using it and like walking around, and it looks so awesome. And it's one of those that I'm sure someone at like Lockheed Martin is like, go on. How did you create the bulletproof 3D printed armor? Okay. Like, and I think that's the area that as a kid, we see this stuff as children. And like you see the games and you assume like, oh, that'll never happen. But like now that I'm an adult, 27 years since the first Fallout game, and I'm like, some dude is building this on YouTube. It's not even the government. It's just like a guy building it on YouTube. And you have to assume that we're going to start seeing more video game technology increase. And like, I don't know. I've never been to war. I've never been to soldiers. Or been a soldier. I have to assume that there's like technology that we had in that were like ideas in video games that probably exist now. Like, I don't really think we have like the Call of Duty Advanced Warfare like jumper suits, but I know they have exosuits for soldiers, and I'd be interested, like, what's something that you guys have seen in video games that you've seen in real life that you're like, oh man, I can't believe that exists. But yeah, definitely check this video out because it is super cool. The team at Hacksmith is doing a 6-part series. This, of course, was part 2. They're going to be kind of breaking it down into individual things and then having the final suit, I'm assuming, in these 6 episodes. So definitely kudos to them and watching it. Speaking of which, ADD's kicking in right now, but since we're on the topic of Fallout, there was another Fallout story that came out this week, and we didn't have a chance to talk about it, but MaCaulay Culkin, yeah, the kid from Home Alone, and MaCaulay Culkin is actually going to be casted in the 2nd season of Fallout, the TV show, which still, I know I'm going to get like some crap in the comment section for this one, but still haven't finished Fallout. I enjoyed the first episode. I was like, oh man, this is really cool, but then like my son was born, and we never finished it. So I definitely need to go back and check it out, but I'm a fan of MaCaulay Culkin. I think he's a very talented actor, and I'm very excited to kind of see what character he's going to play or what he might bring to that series, because Fallout has always been one of those series where it's like it's very character rich, where like the characters in those games are so vibrant and living because you're in such an absurd world that it's like you can play around a lot, and it's something I think that's really cool and unique about it. And I don't know, when I heard MaCaulay Culkin got casted, I was like, yeah, he totally fits in that series. So shout out to Hacksmith. Check out their YouTube video. But of course, I've got a couple more games to show you. This one, really cool. I've always been a fan of side-scrolling platform or video games. And, you know, we've always had Spyro, and it felt like we always had Crash. But then that was it. However, we do have a new one. I'm going to butcher the title, so I apologize that. Nikoderiko. Nikoderiko, the Magical World.
Fancy a cuddly and exciting adventure in the style of your most beloved classic platformers? Then Nikoderiko, the Magical World, our brand new side-scrolling jump and run, is the game for you. Whether as a single player or with your friends in couch co-op mode, you'll experience entertaining and challenging gameplay on a magical journey for all ages. What is it all about? The villainous Baron Grimbald, a fierce cobra, steals an ancient relic on a magical island. But the brave and droll mongoose duo, Nico and Luna, don't like this so much and want to get it back. You take control of our 2 treasure hunters on their exciting and challenging journey. Oh, and while you're at it, you will also save the island, free its inhabitants that will join you as your friends for an even wilder ride, and defeat Grimbald's army. You'll explore 7 beautiful and varied 2.5D game worlds, meet funny characters, and face mean bosses on your quest. You'll also collect animal friends, cute mounts that can also dish out some serious damage. Pounce on your opponents with Boris the Boar, use the jumping power and poison attacks of Todd the Toad, or experience underwater action with Oceanus the Seahorse. And of course, there's a dinosaur too. In Nikoderiko, you can expect everything that makes a platformer fan's heart beat faster. Fast-paced rides through a mine, seamless switches to 3D and back, turbulent underwater fun, and much more. And then there's the soundtrack by David Wise. Don't you know him? Guys, this man is legendary, and you for sure have heard his music in your favorite platformers of all time. So, get ready for an adventure full of fun and magic.
I'll tell you what, Pokemon trading card game, the Pocket Edition, I shouldn't even say edition. Well, we shouldn't even say like it's the edition. We should call it addiction. The Pokemon Trading Card Pocket Addiction is what I'm going to be calling it, because 100% is kind of what it is. Like, because I have it right in front of me right here, right? Like, halfway through the week, a story dropped about like how well that this game has been doing, and I'm like, where did this come from? Like, I don't know if I was distracted by Halloween and just like family stuff that was going on, but like this game dropped out of nowhere. But it has lit the world of mobile gaming on storm. I wrote down some statistics here. Pokemon Trading Card Game Pocket has now hit 30 million downloads in just 9 days. In the first 48 hours, the game had 10 million downloads. So that shows you how fast it is growing with its player base. And in its first 4 days, Pokemon Trading Card Game Pocket generated $12 million in revenue. Now, if you're not aware of it, the game itself, it's super cool. Like, you can actually go in there and you get these packs that you can open, and you can get into there and like download and like buy packs, and then you swipe them open and swipe through the cards as you're going. And one of the things I think made it super unique is like you can battle. So you can actually build a deck and play with other players and other Pokemon, and you like level up as you're playing it. But when you talk about like $12 million in the first 4 days, the average pack that I've been looking at is like $9 a pack is kind of what you're looking at. So do the math there. I mean, that's a crap ton of packs. But it's super. I mean, I've got it on my phone right here. I'm addicted at this point. I'm so addicted to the point that like anytime I have downtime, I'm battling cards. Like I'm playing the Pokemon game on my phone. And what's neat is like if you don't want to play against other players, they have like AI. You play against an AI computer to learn the game, and then if you feel risky, you can go out and play against other players. And they've done such a masterful job with this thing that like opening packs has become addictive. Like my daughter, who's 3 years old, saw me swiping to open a pack, and she's like, "Can I open one?" And of course, being a dad, it's like, "Yeah, sure." And now, anytime she's like, "Can I open a pack?" And I'm like, "Okay, we gotta like nail this down because I'm not buying packs." So you get 2 free packs a day. That's kind of how I've been managing, is just like doing 2 packs a day, and then as you unlock stuff, you kind of can get some extra ones. But fantastic app. Definitely check it out if you're addicted to stuff. Like mobile purchases and you get addicted to video games very quickly, I wouldn't recommend it to you. But as far as like if you're a fan of trading card games and if you're a fan of Pokemon, it's definitely worth checking out. What a wild episode. We bashed Pokemon in like the intro, and now we're like, holy crap, Pokemon's the greatest. But this game is so cool. Like I applaud them for what they accomplished here. And my wife and I, we went to go see Pink this week up in Dallas, and while they were like the opening acts were going on, and like while we're waiting for Pink to come on stage, 100%, I'm just there, just like playing Pokemon on my phone, and it's such an easy travel experience where it's like you don't have to travel with your decks, and it literally. I was talking with one of my friends who also plays trading card games, and you know, we're both into Lorcana, which is another cool trading card game. But after playing this, I'm like, man, I wish every trading card game would do this. Like, I wish this would just be the standard. You know, the idea of like you have a digital collection, you know, NFTs are easy to understand. So like the idea of these Pokemon cards are easy to understand enough. But being able to like play the game virtually is also a huge thing that I'm like, okay, I can play it on here. Like I love Lorcana. In many ways, I think Lorcana is a cooler and more like fun game than the Pokemon trading card game is. But I would love to see Disney and Lorcana and Ravensburg come out with an app like this. Like, I would 100% embrace it, and I think it would be a fantastic thing. And I think you would also have a lot of new players who would embrace it too. That they're like, okay, let me check out this trading card game. So, sound off in the comment section. Are you addicted as I am? Have you checked out Pokemon trading card game? Kudos to the developers. Obviously, you've ruined my bank account this week, but that's why we're doing this show. We're doing this show to feed my Pokemon card trading card game addiction. So. We got another new game. This one might be the most unique game of the show. Empire of Ants. Yeah. I think we can all understand what that is. man, did GeForce Now just like piss off the entire gaming community this week? I didn't. Anytime there's like stories and there's outrage like this, I always feel like it's overblown. You know, even like when you look at like some of the stuff that goes on, you can always find like a part of it where you're like, okay, I can understand the business decision here, and I can kind of understand what's going on. But like this GeForce Now story, I tried to be the good guy, right? Like I tried to like take it from Nvidia's perspective, but I just struggle with it so much. And the amount of people who are pissed off is so insane. I have seen people tweeting images of them canceling their accounts and saying that they're going to be backing out of the service, and like they feel betrayed by Nvidia, which from the world of like social media and like community management, those are never words that you want to be seeing on your account. So shout out to the GeForce Now social media managers dealing with it this week. But in case you missed it, Nvidia announced some sweeping changes coming to their cloud gaming platform, GeForce Now, in which they're going to be implementing a 100-hour monthly playtime cap for Ultimate and Priority members. Now, of course, we dived into this on the daily. 100 hours equates to like 3 hours a day. 30 days in a month, 3 hours a day, that's 90 hours. So you get like 3 hours and some change. For the average gamer, I feel like that's an understandable amount of time. For me, that seems like a luxury. Right now I'm a parent of a newborn and a 3-year-old, and on top of like maintaining the show and having this house, cleaning the house, and being a husband and being a father, and of course working, if I'm lucky getting 20 minutes a day, that's a good day. Getting 20 minutes a day just to zone off in a video game, that's a luxury for me right now. So again, the 3 hours doesn't really seem that terrible, but when you look at like the people who are subscribing to GeForce Now, I wouldn't say it's your average gamer. I would say it's your gamer who like likes to play video games. Like this is their escape. This is how they enjoy zoning out. And while 100 hours may not seem like a lot, there are some games where, because the way that it's designed, you have to be on. Like you have to be playing. Like if we're talking about like my Destiny 2 days, 100 hours a month, I mean, I was hitting that beyond that in Destiny. Like the original Destiny, we were probably doing like 4 to 5 hours a night in that game. So you're talking like 150 hours. So the idea is like if I was playing on GeForce Now, I'd be out of luck. They'd be like, you can't play anymore. Sorry, your service has been shut down. And the caps, to what like Nvidia is saying here, it's like, I wrote this down because I wanted to make sure we covered it. Nvidia is saying that these caps are being implemented to avoid increasing membership costs. And you have to take them for their word, right? Like I can't be like, that's a lie, because Nvidia clearly said it. Like that's their PR release that they said. And it's so wild to me, like to think that like, hey, we're just trying to avoid membership costs, because for the most part, GeForce Now, the Ultimate tier, I think is one of the most expensive tiers on the market. Like for what you get, it's the most expensive option. Like even with Xbox Cloud Gaming, when you do their Ultimate tier, you're right around that price range, but you at least get a library of like 200 games. With GeForce Now, I don't think you get an active library of video games. I think you have to play the games you buy, and that's how that works. So please correct me if I'm wrong there, but I also feel like you're charging so much for your service. Why? Like you're already charging enough. Like is it just that expensive to run a cloud gaming instance? And I even saw that GeForce Now was like, hey, we're doing this to make sure that like everybody has the ability to play, and by giving 100-hour caps, like it'll mean that we'll have availability on our servers where more people won't have wait times and they won't have to deal with that stuff. But again, I'm just like, that's not why people are signing up. Like you're pricing people out of the situation, because my apprehension to GeForce Now, and we've never really talked about this here on the channel because I've tried to be like platform agnostic, but like when it came down to like Stadia, Luna, Xbox Cloud Gaming, and then GeForce Now, I always shied away from GeForce Now because I felt that it was a very unnecessarily complicated experience, right? So like GeForce Now, you have to have a GeForce Now subscription, which then allows you to stream the games you already own to the cloud, right? So you're essentially buying access to a virtual computer. That virtual computer will stream to your phone, to your laptop, to your TV, whatever device you're wanting. And then you basically go from there, right? But the struggle that I've had is that, like, anytime I've signed into GeForce Now, it's like you sign into GeForce Now, and then you have to essentially, like, sign into your Steam account. And then you have to sign into your Epic account. And then you have to sign into all these different stores and get your usernames and get your passwords. And it's just like, it's already a complicated experience. And now you're going to overcomplicate that by being like, oh, shoot, how many hours do I have left on my account? Oh, I got 1 hour left, and the boys want to play, and I can't really have it shut off mid-game play. Oh, what should I do here? And you're really just like, you're becoming so complicated that, like, the easeability of cloud gaming is supposed to be easy. It's supposed to be like a no-brainer. Like, it's the idea of, like, Netflix. You open an app, you click an icon, that game boots up. That's one of the things that made Stadia so unique, was that Stadia had its own storefront. You bought your games there and you just played it. It was a one-stop shop. GeForce Now is not a one-stop shop. You have to pay for a subscription and then buy your games elsewhere and then bring them to the platform. It's just not a perfect experience. So now that you have this hour cap, I'm just like, I don't know what you're trying to accomplish. And in a world of cloud gaming that is so niche, where the player base is already so, I don't even want to say small, but it's not as grand as, like, consoles and PC gamers. The fact that you're pissing off the people who are so loyal to you, which are, like, the ultimate subscribers. Like, I could understand if you wanted to do a 100-hour cap for, like, priority, right? $9.99 a month, 100-hour cap. That makes sense to me. But when you're doing it to, like, Ultimate, who are paying $19 a month, and you're going to say you're limited on how much you can play, you're out of your freaking mind. That's simply what it comes down to. I don't understand it. And it makes me laugh that they're like, well, hey, what happens if I run out of time? And clearly, NVIDIA talked about this. They're like, hey, what if people run more than 100 hours? Like, what are they going to do? I wrote down the numbers here. For 15 hours of extra playtime, it's $2.99 for priority members and $5.99 for ultimate members. So, hey, if you want to game more, pay more. I hate it. There's no other way, and I hate it because, like, I try to be positive on this show. I try to, like, enjoy gaming, but, like, this is just something that I'm like, man, terrible choice. And I understand sometimes internally you have to make decisions that are difficult and you got to work around them. And who knows, in 6 months, this is probably just going to be something that we don't even talk about. But at the time being, compared to the GeForce Now, the options that we had in the past, this is not a good decision. And I don't think it's the right direction for what GeForce Now is doing. Now, as far as when these implementations will go into effect, GeForce Now did say the changes will impact all new players starting 2025. And in 2026, all members, new and old, will have playtime caps, excluding founders, which came out later, that if you were a GeForce Now founder, you don't have to worry about this, which, again, the founders aren't the people who are pissed here. It's the ultimate members who are pissed. You are spending $20 a month. That's $240 a year. No. Yeah. Sorry. I'm not the best at math. That's a shite ton of money. And now you're telling me that I'm limited. Like, it's a terrible octave. If it's really a price thing, and $5.99 is going to get me an extra 15 hours, raise the membership to $24.99. I don't think anyone would bat an eye at that point. And then just say, hey, there could be a day that this is $29.99, $30. Because I've always said, I thought Game Pass Ultimate I still think it's extremely undervalued for what you're getting on that. And I think that there's going to be a day where we're going to be paying $30 for Xbox Game Pass Ultimate. 100%. There is a day that is coming, but again, I'm sure nobody in NVIDIA is excited about this except for a couple people, and I have to assume that there's people internally who are fighting this and saying, guys, this isn't a bad idea. But sometimes, even Stadia, it proves, sometimes you have to make decisions, you have to do things because you're being told from upper or higher ups, and it's just not a good vibe. And of course, if you're being impacted by this, please let me know in the comment section how you're falling on this NVIDIA thing, because it's not a good situation. It's not a good situation at all. And I definitely feel for some of the members of NVIDIA who have come to know. And I feel for the NVIDIA player base who've been using GeForce Now, because there's a big conversation of like, cool, you're letting founders work, but like what happens if my membership lapses? What if my wallet gets stolen and I forget to update my debit card on my GeForce Now account? Like, I'm going to lose my unlimited play? It's just such a ridiculous, such a silly concept there. But anyway, that's all for this week's show. I really do appreciate you guys coming in and checking out and hanging out with me every single week. And special shout out to the Nerf Gaming members who support this channel, whether it's a casual membership or a best friend membership. Thank you guys so much for your financial support. You are the reason that this show continues. And if you haven't done so already and you're wanting more Nerf gaming news in your life, please consider becoming a Nerf Gaming member and helping us monetarily for the low cost of $1.99 a month. Thank you guys again so much for watching. My name is Bryant, and until next week, we will see you in the next video.